Yo, before we start with this video, I just want to talk about the Patreon for a little bit. If you're not interested, then skip to this part. Basically, I just want to talk about how the guild member tier, it got changed from the price from $1.50 to $2.50. So yeah, and people were wondering when they got into the $2.50 guild member tier and I deleted the $1.50 tier, you guys couldn't join Fairy Tail or you guys couldn't watch Fairy Tail. My bad. That was my complete honest mistake. I did not know that if I delete that tier, that would mean that you wouldn't have any access to any of the Fairy Tail posts that I already made that only talked about that $1.50 tier without including the $2.50 tier. So yeah, that was why some of you guys even joined the $5 S class tier. So my bad for that. You don't have to. You can cancel that and go back to the guild member, which is much cheaper, and you can watch Fairy Tail just by itself. So yeah, that was my complete honest mistake. I changed it, I fixed it. Even if you go to guild member now, you can have access to the previous posts as well. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that, and without further ado, jump into the video. Yo, what up boys and 20% girls? We are going to be doing a Fairy Tail arc tier list because last episode, my reaction of episode 150, if you didn't watch the review section, then I said that I am going to make a tier list on the Fairy Tail arcs that I've watched so far so I can establish which one deserves to be on which place. And I know I said I was going to start the GMG arc today on my schedule last week, but things got busy, so I'm going to do it tomorrow. Don't worry, right? It's only tomorrow. Just wait a bit. I also just want to do this before we jump into the time skip. We jump into this before we jump into the GMG arc. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into number 1, the Eisenwald arc, aka the very first arc that Fairy Tail has ever made, and I'd say this was a pretty decent number 1 arc. We got introduced to the main characters, Natsu and Lucy, and then we get introduced to Gray and Erza, and then they made us care about Gray and Erza and talk about how likable they are based on their personalities, based on their strengths, based on just whatever they gave us. And the highlight is obviously Erza's first transformation where she fights against all of one guild and she bosses them. That was pretty damn dope, and I feel like that is worthy of an A. Next up is the Galuna Island arc. Now, after watching, the first time I watched it, I remember I enjoyed it, but after watching the next arcs in Fairy Tail, I realized that it's not as good as I thought. Not to say that it's bad though. Like, we have the moment, we have the sacrifice, the backstory, ult tier reveal, and also Gray vs. Leon. But, compared to the other arcs, I feel like this is kind of, I don't know, it's not as significant to me. Like, if I were to show Fairy Tail, I wouldn't show off this arc as saying like this is the best that Fairy Tail could do. And honestly, it is far from what Hiro Mashima can do as his best, so I'm gonna put it as a C. I feel like that deserves it. Next up, we have the Phantom Lord arc, aka the arc where we talked about Lucy's character development, and I have to say, this shit was incredible. This is also the first time that Lucy talked back on her father, and also this is the first time Lucy Lucy has one of those speech moments that is now like a trademark thing for Fairy Tail. And not gonna lie, she bossed that shit. I remember watching that and I started ranting about how great female characters are in Fairy Tail, and I gotta say, it did very well. Also, Makarov doing Fairy Law, come on, that shit was worthy of an S tier just by itself, so I'll put it over here. Next up, we have the Tower of Heaven arc, and I mean, come on, it is the Tower of Heaven arc. Jalal was the main villain. That deserves an S tier. Now the problem is, do I put it above or below? The thing is, I love Lucy more character-wise rather than Erza, but this arc really makes us love Erza, and also this arc just kind of shows Erza and Jalal's backstory, the R system, and it kind of just made the Fairy Tail world building better. And I think this is the first mention of Zeref. No, this is not the first mention of Zeref, but this was the first kind of appearance of Zeref, even though their appearance is actually old tier. But yeah, Jalal was an amazing villain for this arc, and I can't say the same for Phantom Lord, which is, I think the main villain is Master Jose, and he's not Jalal. And because of that, I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna put it as this, above the Phantom arc, and yeah, I feel like, yeah, that's pretty good. Next up is a Battle of Fairy Tail arc. This is a no-brainer above. This is my favorite S tier. This is the first arc that showed Mira Saiyan Soul, and that was when she took my heart and stabbed it 500 times because I was just in love. And back then I was still trying to simp for Erza, but my goodness, I could not stop simping for Mira then. And obviously that is the main highlight of this arc, you know, the main fight of this arc was Mira versus Freed, but that is not to say that the final fight of this arc was bad at all. Like the second best fight, which is Gajeel and Natsu versus Laxus, is better than the main fight of the Eisenwald arc. And I feel like that's good enough to say that this is above the S tiers of the S tiers. Like it's just amazing. And this might be a hot take, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me, but Laxus was a better antagonist than Jalal. Now I don't know if you guys agree with that. I personally think that Laxus is just a better villain overall. His motivation was good, his backstory was good, his final moments of the arc was good, and just his power was dope. I feel like Laxus was just so much more intimidating than Jalal. I mean, Laxus fought against all of the S classes in Fairy Tail and he managed to go through all of them until Natsu and Gajeel fought him until he is super duper tired and they eventually won. Like it took them 5 people, 5 top class people to beat him. Like that shit is fucking mad. So yeah, Laxus is my favorite villain so far. I'm probably going to change that when I see Zera's backstory though. But yeah. Next up we have the Oracion Seis arc. Now y'all already know what I feel, but I feel like I've changed. After I watched the Starry Sky arc, my love for Oracion Seis kind of grew, so I feel like it is not my least favorite anymore, but I would rather put it as a... I feel like it is a high C, higher than the Galuna Island arc. Next up is the Edelas arc. I feel like the Edelas arc is an A, B, a very high B. I want to put it as an A. And you know what? I'm going to put it as an A. I'm on drugs. Yeah, I really like this arc. I know a lot of people don't really like this arc because it felt like a filler because, you know, the characters just disappear except for a few exceptions. But I can't help it. It was pretty cool for them to take away the magic. I wasn't a big fan of that, I'm pretty sure. But once the magic came back, that was the most satisfying feel I felt out of all the arcs, you know, prior to the next arcs that I've watched. So I feel like an A is very deserving, so yeah. Next up is the Tenrou Island arc, which is definitely an S tier. The problem is though, I don't know if I should put it above or below. I don't know, man. The Battle of Fairy Tail arc was just so good. Even with the recency bias, I just can't help but love the Battle of Fairy Tail arc. It's just non-stop action, and the 2 main fights of that arc was just incredible. But that's not to say the Tenrou Island arc is also lacking though, because every single fight was amazing. I feel like it's a tie between the 2, but I'm gonna have to lean more on the Battle of Fairy Tail arc. This may kill some people, and I know it might, but I can't help it, man. The Battle of Fairy Tail arc was just so good. I'm gonna put it as my top for now. And now finally we have the Starry Sky arc, and I'm gonna put it as a... This is weird. Now that I think about it, I think I might have to put the Edelas arc at B because I kind of enjoy the Starry Sky arc a little bit more than the Edelas arc. This may be recency bias, but I just like the final few episodes or the final emotional moment of the Starry Sky arc was just incredible to me. It was so damn emotional. Michelle was just a pure sweetheart, and I just think it's better than the Edelas arc. I don't know, man. I might have to put this in an A. But the very first few episodes were kind of boring. Yeah, the very first few episodes of the arc was boring. But again, once it picked up the pace, it really satisfied my palate. So yeah, I'm gonna put it as an A. Nah, that's too harsh. Edelas arc is also a B. I'm gonna put it above. I'm gonna put it below. This would have definitely been an A though, because you know, the Mira fight really elevates that arc as well. But again, the very first few episodes were kind of boring, man. It was kind of dragging on, and yeah, Yeah, I'm gonna put it as a B. So yeah, that's how it goes so far. Apparently, my #1 arc that I love the most is the Battle of Fairy Tail arc. I mean, kinda no surprises there if you know who I am, because I love Mira so much. But it's not just because I love Mira, that arc was just amazing all throughout. Just like the Tenrou Island arc, there was barely any episodes that were bad. In fact, the Battle of Fairy Tail arc had no bad episodes, but I can't say the same for the Tenrou Island arc, because there was one episode again with Kana and Lucy versus Freed and Big Slow. That was, I feel like that lowered my standards of it. That made me put it a little bit below than the Battle of Fairy Tail arc. And I guess it's kind of unfair because the Battle of Fairy Tail arc's episodes are much less than the Tenrou Island arc, so they could tackle a lot more in the Tenrou Island arc, but they'd have to get more shortcomings as well. But I can't help it. The Battle of Fairy Tail arc is still my favorite, and I feel like it's gonna stay that way. Unless I watch the GMG arc, which I've heard is amazing. So I can't wait to watch that episode or watch that arc with you guys. And yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna leave this video here. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to this video to lose, and come to the because any support is welcome. And yeah, I guess that's it. Peace, Johnny!